There we go. What's up, guys? Young Bucks, so Goats, Dolphins post game. That didn't go the way we wanted, obviously, but man, I got to hand it to the Dolphins. They went in there and they fought. We didn't quit, which is what you never want to see from your team. I wasn't expecting us to be in it. We fought till the very end, so you got to give it up, man. We went in there and we had a chance to win, which is I'll be honest, is more than I thought we were gonna have. I thought we were gonna get the doors blown off us. So let's take a look at the box score and what happened during the game, and then we'll talk about a couple other things, playoff picture, standings, etc. Let's look at this Dolphin defeat in Buffalo, 32-29. I thought my key to the game before this game started was that we rushed the ball 30 times. That didn't mean for sure you were going to win, but if we didn't rush the ball 30 times, I felt like we were not going to win. And we got pretty close. We ran 25 times for 188 yards. So that was pretty good. They gave it a try running the ball. Tua seemed to get a little bit better during the game. He obviously had a much better game than the last two games. I don't think he's the reason that we lost. Just a tough game. The defense kind of held there in the second half, most of the third quarter, but eventually we could not stop. We'll review the game here, and then when we get to the end, just when the snow starts kicking in, that's when you start. You saw the game change at that point. So let's take it from the top. When the game started, not looking as snowy or as cold. I guess it was always cold, but it didn't look like the conditions that we had been seeing all pregame with the snow and everything that was being advertised. And as the game went on, we saw that kick in the second half, and that's sort of when the tides changed for the Dolphins. Third loss in a row now. We're sitting at 8-6. So Mostert all season long, I've been thinking that this guy has been severely underused for whatever reason. I know McDaniels always thought I was a run guru kind of guy, and we just had not seen that down here in Miami thus far. But I think he did some good things to try to correct some of the problems that had been ailing them the last couple of weeks. Specifically, just run the ball. That always is going to help a young quarterback, especially when he's struggling. We did throw some balls outside, which that had been given to us, but we weren't taking it in the last few games. So he made some adjustments there where at least we were throwing the ball outside to open up that middle a little bit more, run the ball, which was also going to open up the middle a little bit more. And Mostert had a really nice game. Had the longest run in the last 4 years for a Dolphin. I think 68 yards, if I'm not mistaken. He ends up with a $136 on 17 carries. And even Salman Ahmed chipped in with 43 yards on 6 carries and a touchdown. So the running game was on. Tua, like I said, I think this is more like if I'm being honest, the Tua that we saw the last 2 weeks, he's probably not really that bad. And the Tua that we had seen the other weeks where he was getting MVP consideration, he's really not that good. And he's probably more like what we saw today, 17 of 30, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. He does seem to be a guy that has some luck on his side at all times. He threw a couple of near picks. So first quarter, we We use Mostert a little bit. They go for it on fourth down, which I'm not always a fan of. He seems to not pass up a fourth down. But I guess the thinking there is, try to get ahead before the conditions deteriorate. Tua, again, with fortune, has the ball come out, and we're able to fall on it, and we get a field goal out of that. That we could split hairs a million ways. That could end up hurting you when you end up taking too many field goals instead of touchdowns. But we get that fumble back. We score a 3-point. And then with the Bills, with the ball, we continue to struggle versus the tight end and the running back, the little swing passes to the running back. I mean, I was having Thurman Thomas flashbacks. They didn't pepper us that much, but they did use it a few times against us. Chargers made a living off that with Eckler last week against us. And then there's a lot of snowball throwing. I thought at some point there was going to be some sort of either penalty or announcement, that obviously they know that they're not supposed to, but we're not used to that down here in Miami, but a good snowball to the face, that, it's hard, dude. It's packed ice. But I guess there was either announcements in the stadium or something, and they kind of stopped doing that after that. And Holland got eaten up alive by Quentin Morris, who had never had a touchdown. This seems to be another theme for me when the Dolphins play the Bills, especially on meaningful games, where like guys who don't often do anything end up doing stuff against us. Obviously, this Quentin Morris gets the touchdown, and then there'll be some more later. Then when we have the ball back, Mostert has that nice run. We got a 2nd and goal. I don't know why we don't just pound the ball in at that point. We're running well, but they decide to pass a couple of times. Sherfield can't hold on. I think Cheetah couldn't hold on. Those are not on Tua. Both of them could have been caught. And then Sanders with the field goal makes it 7-6 at that point. And, we're sort of leaving points on the board, which, obviously final score will tell you comes back to bite us. The 3rd and 17 then to Gabe Davis with the soft cover 3 was kind of deflating. It seemed like at that point, we were going to stop them and get the ball back, but we give up that 3rd and 17. Even Cole Beasley, who was on his couch last week, comes in, and it's a pretty long drive they're having at this point with 9 straight completions from Josh Allen. You got to hand it to the Bills, and Josh Allen. Like that is a really good team. Quite possibly that could be your AFC Super Bowl representative. And then Hines, who hadn't caught a touchdown, catches one. And then we get the ball back. It was a great game, man. It was just a back and forth till the last second. Really good game. Of course, would have preferred a different outcome, but really, really good game. I'm sure fans that are not invested in either team watching this game and thinking, national television primetime, pretty damn good game. And I just always going back to when I was a kid, I love these snow games, even though this only ended up being a snow game what seemed like the last quarter or so. But there's always I like to see that chaos when like snow or rain or a messed up field will just throw everything out the window. And then Hill has another drop. We go deep to the Penguin Waddle there. Another drop pick. And Cheetah. Oh, Gasecki chimed in. We hadn't seen him for a few for a few games, it seemed. And then we get the Ahmed touchdown. And they brought up something interesting during the telecast where there was a 90-degree difference in temperature. It was like 110, or it felt like 110 when we first played that game here early in the season versus Buffalo at home, and then here I think it was like in the 20s. So what a turnaround in the temperature, at least. This dude McKenzie for the Bills, I only seem to hear of that guy when they play against us. He terrorized us already a few times before. Once with playoff implications on the line previously, not last season, the year before. Holland goes out at halftime, but he did come back later. And then what I thought was kind of a cheap flag on X-Men there at the end of the half, sets up the Bills with 8 seconds left, and just Allen with all the time in the world. It would have been amazing to stop them because he actually killed all the time on the clock. They wouldn't have even had a chance for a field goal, but he scrambles and he finds Cook in the end zone, and that's the half, and they have the chance to get the ball to start the second half, so they have the chance to go back to back. And at the half, we're looking 13-21 down, and then you go to the third quarter. You got to hand it to the Dolphins defense. Hard to say hand it to the Dolphins defense when we give up 30 plus points, but third quarter they held, and we were able to get back into the game. We hit Waddle deep. I went back and forth actually in this game, thinking the defense is terrible, the defense has held, but what you want, I guess, is to have chances to win a game. And I think even in this 3-game losing streak, we've had chances to win all the games. If we could have, found a way to do something. And the last 3 weeks, we've seen really good quarterback play. Unfortunately, it's been from our opponents more than from our quarterback, but we've seen Purdy put up a hell of a game. Herbert showed why he is Herbert, and Josh Allen, this game showed why he's Josh Allen. So we hit Cheetah on a hanger. I thought that was lucky too, that ball was floating up there, but we get the touchdown. I'll take it. And in the fourth quarter, Tua gets away with another pick. Phillips and Wilkins converge on a nice strip sack and recovery combo between them. And we're feeling pretty good about ourselves at that point. I got to say, everybody's probably feeling pretty good. I have a segment I'm going to do before we end the show that I was about to delete. And I was hoping to delete it and save it for another day or not do it, which outlines previous Dolphins collapses. But I'll get to that after the review of the game here. So at some point after that, or immediately after that, you start to see the snow flurries sort of kick in. And then I start to think, you know what happens here? This is where Allen had been sort of shut down in the second half to this point. And you see this from time to time. It'll happen it'll happen to bad players. It'll happen to great players. But the great players, somehow, some way, they find a way to get out of that, and they find a way to come up with a few plays. And even did have a fumble, but they recovered it. But at the end of the day, you know what? He tucks it down. He runs for 40-plus yards. And then, we start kind of unraveling. There's a late hit on a Landon Roberts, who I thought was having a pretty good game up until that point. And Allen hits Dawson Creek. With the conditions deteriorating And that really, you kind of, when that started happening, you kind of felt like, we're in their world now. That's where they wanted to have us, and they got us. There was the flag on Kadu versus McKenzie again. I'm thinking, hey man, we got to let them score. If we let them score, maybe we get the ball back here at the end and have a chance. That's the only way we can have a chance. And Singletary, to his credit, he kind of went down. It looked kind of like we were going to let him score, but he went down. He didn't allow the Dolphins off the hook there by scoring and giving us a chance to get the ball back, which was the only shot at that chance. And then they take the knee, they set up the field goal, they kick the field goal, and they win. Again, not what we wanted, but I think you can at least hang your hat on that. It wasn't like the performance last week, specifically from Tua, where that was just the worst game we've seen from him, one of the worst halves we've seen from any quarterback this year. And it's not the game where a mystery relevant rookie comes off the bench, unprepared, and sort of takes it to us in the Niner game. So, not that you're ever going to feel good about a loss, but you never want to see your team quit. And I'll say it again. I don't think that we saw them quit. They fought till the end. Let's take a look at the box score, guys. Let's look at the numbers. So Tua, 17 for 30, 234, 2 TDs, no picks, even though he could have had a couple. Mostert, $136. Waddle showed up. He was sort of missing in action the last few weeks. 3 for 114 with a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 9 for 69 with a touchdown. We had a Cedric Wilson sighting, 1 for 21. We had a Gesicki sighting, 1 for 5. Here's some of the defensive numbers. 7 tackles for Cater Kahu. Sealer had a sack. Phillips had a sack. Thomas Morstead worked more than we've seen him work in a lot of other games. He had 4 punts. Sanders was a perfect 3 for 3, even though we probably would have wished maybe some of those were touchdowns and not field goals. But that's the way it goes sometimes. And Allen, doing Allen things. 25 for 40, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, 10 carries for 77 yards. When things weren't going well, he packed it in and he put something. That's where I when people tell me, we can win with Tua, I guess you can, but can he do that? Can he, when the game's not going your way, put you on his back? He's not that kind of guy. I don't think it's fair to ask him to do that. But it sure is nice when you have a guy that can do that. And sort of a theme for the Dolphins this year, not that bad against the run. If you take the other runs, besides Allen, we hold them to 19 carries for 73 yards, which is, very respectable. But that's happened to us a lot, where we do that, but then when the quarterback packs it in, we can't stop him. That happened to us against Lamar Jackson. Who else did that happen to us against? There's been a Josh Allen. I think the first game had a pretty nice running day against us as well. There may be another one that I'm not remembering right now, where again we stopped sort of the running back portion of the game, but we're not able to stop the quarterback from running. So I don't know if that's an adjustment we need to try to make against some of these quarterbacks that can pack it in and really hurt you, or what. We got to do something there, because that's sort of been killing us. Even though we won the other 2 games that I mentioned, where that happened for sure. And let's take a look here at what the NFL standings look right now in the AFC East. So the Bills have clinched a playoff berth at 11-3. We're now 8-6. We're just one game ahead of the Patriots and the Jets. We do have to go play the Patriots after next week, which is the Packers. And the other team, the Jets, who's already beat us, that's our season finale, which I have a feeling that's going to be the first playoff game. We got to try to win. We got to try to beat the Packers. That we got to stop the bleeding and then go up to Buffalo with a chance. And at this point, I'm just hoping that last Jets game's at home in early January matters. And then, of course, you got to win that game if it matters. Otherwise, it's just another late season Dolphins collapse. And nobody wants to see that. We've seen enough of that. For you younger Dolphin fans, you may not, have been beaten down by that reality yet, but it is a real reality. I'm gonna show you some, and we had one at one time, which is a historic one. Speaking of collapses, Matt Ryan today, he was not satisfied with having the Super Bowl greatest collapse, which was against the New England Patriots, of course, 28-3 in the third quarter. He went out and he outdid himself with the Colts today, down 33-0 to the Vikings at the half, and they collapsed. That game goes to overtime, and the Vikings ended up winning. So shout out to Matt Ryan. You are not only the Super Bowl greatest collapse, you now have the regular season greatest collapse. Give it up for Matt Ryan. And here's the playoff picture as it stands. We are still holding that 8th seed at 8-6. However, we got the Patriots sniffing up our butt. We got the Chargers sniffing up our butt. We got the Jets they're sniffing up our butt. I mean, even the Browns are even the Browns are sort of in the mix there. They win today with Deshaun Watson, so it's getting dicey. Not that Tua had a terrible game. I'm not going to bash on him all the time, but I started looking at this because I am one that thinks we need to start finding, if we can. I think you need to improve every position whenever you can. Not just quarterback, but every position. So if there's a chance to improve your quarterback position, you have to do it. And Lord knows the Dolphins have tried to do that. The first guy on this list here, we tried to woo him. That's Tom Brady. But here's some of the other names. Do any of these names sort of tickle your fancy? One of these names is already on the team, Teddy Bridgewater. There was talk of Jimmy Garoppolo at one point. The more I think about it, I think Tua is a Jimmy and Jimmy is a Tua, and Tua could be a Jimmy. So I don't know about that. None of these other names, some of these people we had already, Jacoby Brissett. None of these names are making my toes tingle until we get down to, there's Kyle Allen. That's the wrong Allen. Lamar Jackson, who, I've been hearing talks about that. He's a South Florida guy. They're not paying him, I think that would be amazing if you found a way to get an Aaron Rodgers down here. Would you be excited about that? Or do you think maybe Tua's the guy? Tua's still the guy. We got to roll with Tua. That's sort of some of the names up there. Then I started looking at, what about top 5 quarterbacks in the draft? Do we have a chance at any of these guys? Bryce Young, Alabama. I don't want another Alabama. I don't think we'd have a chance. Where's this guy going to get drafted? What are they thinking? They have big board rank 1, which I guess that's first round, but they're not, at this point, we're not really nailing it down to picks. Will Levis from Kentucky, CJ Stroud, Ohio State, Tanner McKee, Stanford. I just don't know enough about college football to say much about any of these guys other than what we're looking at here and their names. And I'll admit, when we drafted Tua and Herbert, I didn't know what Herbert was or is. I know a lot of people that watched a lot of college football did and knew that was the wrong pick. That's just been proven at this point. So, for some of you people who have not been privy or party to some of these late season collapses, which we're right in the midst of one right now, we need to try to get out of it, but we're in the midst of one, and it's not the first time. Obviously, it's not going to be the last time either. But we seem to have a lot of these, and I don't want to fall into the scenario that like my dad is in when he watches baseball. Like he strictly watches the Marlins, so every bad thing that happens to the Marlins, he's always one that says this only happens to the Marlins. They're the only ones who hit into triple plays. They're the only ones that get no hit. That's not true. Everybody does, but he just sees that happen more. But I, if I were to do an extensive study, it would seem that the Dolphins have way more late season collapses than other teams. And the one back from 1993 was historic. It's only been outdone by one, which was the 1987 Chargers, who started 8-1, and I believe they lost every single game after that. So 1993, we have Marino in there. He gets injured a few games into the season. And then we bring in Scott Mitchell, who was our backup, also a lefty, a la Tui. And he starts filling in. He's the player of October in 93. Then he also becomes injured. He leaves us 9-2, and the team gets left in the hands of NFL coach Doug Peterson and NFL veteran Steve DeBerg. And Steve DeBerg did win the Thanksgiving game in the snow, I think, that year, if I'm not mistaken, we end up losing after being 9-2 the last 5 games, and we finish 9-7, and we do not make the playoffs. And that is the only team to not make the playoffs that started off 9-2. So that's one that we have. And these are not all of them. These are just a few. 2002, we have another one. We seem to have in 2002, we had a share of the league or the division lead or sole possession the whole year. So much so that we have it until there's 4 minutes and some change left in the final game of the year. Of course, this game is against Bastard Brady. They score twice in the last 4 minutes and change, take it to overtime, kick a field goal. Even the Patriots don't end up making the playoffs, but they do knock us out, and the Jets ends up making the playoffs. All 3 of us with a 9-7 record, but based on tiebreakers, us and the Patriots miss the playoffs completely. So that was one. 2013, Philbin, Tannehill era. That's the Bullygate scandal that year. We're 8-6. The last 2 games, we have a path to the playoffs. Also, that was a year that we draft Deion Jordan and a couple of other busts with our first picks. It was just a bad bad year overall. And we lose to the Jets and the Bills, which are inferior opponents, to end the year and end our season and end our playoff hopes that year. Next year, they kind of repeated again in 2014. We lose 3 of the last 4 to end the year, including a dismantling by a really hapless Jets team that year. And with the 3 out of the last 4, we end up missing the playoffs for the 6th season in a row in 2014. So it's been happening. 2017, we go on a run there with Cutler. We get to 6-7. We need 3 wins or to beat the Bills twice to make the playoffs, and we end up losing all 3. 2018, we have the Miami Miracle. Everything we're at 7-6 after that game. People start thinking, including myself, we have a chance. We end up losing the last 3, and then we miss out yet again. And then, more recently, last year, we go on that run, and we go to Tennessee in also cold weather, and we get it handed to us during that game. So unfortunately, that's like part of throughout different coaches, different GMs, different quarterbacks, whether it be Marino, Fiedler, Cutler, Tannehill, Tua. We just seem to, and again, I'd like to study it more to see if it happens to more and more teams, but it seems to happen more to us where we're in it there at the end and we just collapse for whatever reason. And we're in the middle of that right now. These were the December late season games that matter, and we're 0-3 in them. And now we got to go face at home. So there's that at least. At 8-6, we got to go try and win some games against the Packers, who are down, but still, that's Aaron Rodgers. It's not a gimme. You cannot pencil that in, no matter what. We got to go up playing in New England. I'll have to check the weather on that. I'm imagining, of course, it's going to be cold. I don't know if it's going to snow, but that's not our strength, obviously. It's never been. And then just sort of finish the season at home against the Jets in a game that, hopefully it matters. And, shit. Anything could happen at that point. So that's sort of where we're at. I'll at least say, what up, Big Remo? How you doing, bro? I am drowning my sorrows, brother, from the game. Did you catch the game? Tough loss. By the way, let me do this. I forgot last time. I got some stuff from the sponsor, Man of Action Figures, I want to show. What do we have here? I got, and you can check all this stuff out on manofactionfigures.com. I got Popeye Mesco action figure there. What else do we have? I got a few Snoop Dogg items, dude. Look at this. I got this Funko Pop album cover recreation here with the Snoop Dogg pop in the middle. Again, you can check all that stuff out at manofactionfigures.com. If you're in the Miami area, we're in Homestead on 275-51 South Dixie Highway. Let's do all the Snoop because they just released a bunch of Funko Snoop. There's the vinyl gold Snoop Dogg. And then I have the Chase version too, which he actually is a dog in that one. That's pretty fucking cool, dude. What else do we have? Oh, look at this guy, dude. We got this guy. Tua. Oh, this one's even better. The pop and the player. Josh Allen right there. Who else do I have to show you? I got actually the rest is pops, guys. I got a lot of NFL pops since we're in the midst of the season. McCaffrey, Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence, Funko Pop. I'm just showing you a lot of quarterbacks that are better than Tua. Joe Burrow, or Burrow. All right, there's a lot of Snoop. They even did a Snoop Pop here. Got that one. Here's another guy the Dolphins could have had. Micah Parsons. Pop. 3 more pops. Chiefs version of Juju Smith-Schuster. The man I love to hate, Tom Brady, who maybe the Dolphins will be sniffing around again after this year. Who knows? He says he wants to play. He might test the free agency. And then yet another version, very Snoop Dogg heavy on this Man of Action Figures update here. So again, check all that stuff out on manofactionfigures.com, and we have some Christmas sales going on. There's still we got one more week in the Christmas shopping season for all your loved ones. So go check it out and go buy something. Okay. So I guess the last thing I sort of wanted to talk about today was the World Cup final is tomorrow, man. It's Argentina versus France. They did play in the last World Cup in the round of 16. And, of course, France knocked out Argentina 4-3 in a very entertaining game. And tomorrow, I believe that game's at 10 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. They will face off again. I don't think that Argentina can neutralize Mbappe from France. That guy's just too fast, too good. I think it'll be sort of like a proverbial passing of the torch from Messi to him. As you know, a lot of people I think already will say he's the best player in the world at this point, Mbappe. But you seem like a different Messi. And I wonder what it is, if he's just getting older and he has sort of a edgier side to him now. I also thought about this the other day. It's the only World Cup he's played with Maradona not around, who passed a couple of years ago. Maybe that, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, that sort of, he's the living Argentina legend now. He was never the living legend. Maradona was always around, always his presence, always there at the big games. They're always panning to him. So, anything could happen. I have a lot of love for the people of Argentina, obviously. And if they win, it'd be great. That could bring a lot of joy to that country that has a lot of, bad things going on all the time. I mean, people are going crazy there right now. Everybody's happy in the streets. And I'll read you from this article that I read before we get out of here. The country that wins the World Cup typically experiences a 0.25 bump in economic growth in the 2 quarters after the tournament, per new research from the Marco Mello at the University of Surrey. The pick-me-up can mainly be attributed to an increase in exports as the country elevates its brand on the global stage. So, for instance, you might be more inclined to drink an Argentine Malbec over a Côte de Rhône should Messi and the squad prevail tomorrow. Bottom line, the World Cup victory will do little to cure Argentina's long-standing economic and political challenges, but even briefly, Argentine writer Ariel Schur told the Agents French Pass, it dazzles us with something that leaves a lasting memory. So I'll be tuning in, checking that out. Big game, obviously. You guys think the Dolphins have a chance at a playoff spot still? Do you think we should be looking for another quarterback. Should we stay put? Are we going to turn this thing around? Will it be just the culmination of yet another Dolphins collapse? Time will tell all of those things. And hopefully we can turn it around somehow. Again, I'm just happy that we didn't quit. A lot of other times, I was expecting to get our doors frozen and blown off after it. All right, guys. That's pretty much all I had for today, and we'll see after the next game. Hopefully, we can get back in the mix. We got to stop the bleeding somehow. That's 3 in a row. I think you lose to the Packers, I think the season's over. At that point, it's hard to to put the brakes on a free fall like that. So hopefully we can stop the bleeding and we can beat the Packers, which I don't think. I'd have to check the numbers. I don't think we've been great. I remember when they came down when Philbin was here. It was not fun. We were calling timeouts for them when they were about to score, and Aaron Rodgers put insult to injury by doing a fake spike like Marino, and it was just bad. So hopefully we can change that. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, man. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.